The global economy is actually doing a lot better than you might think, and a dangerous ice storm is moving through the U.S. It's The 7 from The Washington Post. I'm Jeff Pierre. It's Tuesday, January 31st. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Before we turn to the world economy or the weather, we're in Memphis, where 2 more officers have been suspended over Tyre Nichols' death. The 29-year-old black man died after being beaten by police during a January 7th traffic stop. 5 officers have already been fired and charged with murder. Memphis police say that these other officers are being investigated for actions and inactions during Nichols' beating. One of them used a taser on Nichols. 2 EMTs and a lieutenant from the Memphis Fire Department were also fired yesterday. The U.S. plans to end its coronavirus national emergencies on May 11th. That's story number 2. President Biden announced the move yesterday. The emergencies have been in place since March of 2020. The end marks a new phase of the COVID response. Most Americans have been vaccinated and life is largely back to normal, but almost 500 people are still dying from COVID each day. This also means that some flexibilities from early in the pandemic will disappear, like border rules and extra Medicaid funding. At number 3, the global economy isn't doing as bad as people thought. The U.S., Europe, and China have outperformed expectations with steady hiring in the U.S., manufacturing growth in Europe, and spending in China. An important note here, this is more the result of economic disasters being avoided rather than any new boom. But economists from the International Monetary Fund, who put out a report yesterday, predicted continued growth this year, though they say the rate of that growth will be slower than in 2022. Number 4, 95 people died in an explosion at a mosque in Pakistan. A massive suicide bombing took place yesterday in a crowded mosque full of police officers in the northwest provincial capital of Peshawar. More than 200 people were injured. The blast was initially claimed by leaders of the Pakistani Taliban, but their spokesman later denied it. The Taliban has fought against the government there for years. Here's number 5. A dangerous ice storm is making its way across the southern U.S. You can expect multiple waves of freezing rain through tomorrow from Texas to the Ohio Valley. Texas is expected to be hit the hardest. This is dangerous because the forecast includes freezing rain. It looks and sounds like ordinary rain, but it forms an invisible icy glaze on roads and other surfaces, making driving hazardous. Places with a buildup of ice could also see some power outages. Number 6. Cindy Williams, who played Shirley Feeney in Laverne and Shirley, died yesterday.
Give us any chance, we'll take it. Risk any rule, we'll break it.
Laverne and Shirley, in case you've never seen it, was a hit sitcom in the 70s and 80s. The 2 lead characters were roommates who worked in a Milwaukee beer bottling plant. Williams and her co-star Penny Marshall were inspired by Lucille Ball, the queen of American television slapstick. Williams was one of America's best physical comics. She died after a short illness. She was 75. And at number 7, a mysterious flying spiral was spotted in Hawaii's night sky. The glowing whirlpool-like formation was seen by a Japanese telescope over the dormant Mauna Kea volcano earlier this month. You can see a video of it on WashingtonPost.com. It's pretty wild. We don't know what it is, but it appeared shortly after SpaceX launched a satellite into orbit from Florida. Similar spirals have been reported after other launches. And just like that, you're all caught up. And if you want to help the planet out and get a tax break too, you can read about some home improvement tips to do just that. You can find the link in our show notes. I'm Jeff Pierre, and I'll meet you back here tomorrow.